Welcome back to the channel World Coins Master everyone, and thank you for joining us today as we dive deep into the fascinating world of coin collecting, where the smallest piece of currency can sometimes hold unimaginable value. Today's focus is on the 1972 Lincoln penny, often referred to as the 1972 Liberty 1-cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike due to its rarity, its mistakes, its errors, and the extraordinary possibilities surrounding its variations. Imagine holding a coin that was minted with a face value of just 1 cent but is today valued at around $570 million. That contrast between a humble penny and a staggering fortune is what makes this story so captivating. From its minting process to its errors, from the historical significance to the market fascination, this coin has become one of the most talked about treasures in American numismatics. So, let's explore how a coin meant for everyday circulation became one of the most valuable objects in the world of rare collectibles. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation since 1909, designed to honor President Abraham Lincoln on the centennial of his birth. It became the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of symbolic imagery. By 1972, the Lincoln cent had already been an essential part of American life for decades, used by millions in grocery stores, parking meters, schools, and vending machines. Yet, amidst the billions minted, a small number of 1,972 coins came out differently. Errors crept into the minting process, mint marks were misplaced or doubled, and some striking issues gave birth to variations that collectors now chase with unrelenting passion. These peculiarities transformed what was once ordinary pocket change into a financial and historical miracle. The most famous 1972 Lincoln penny is undoubtedly the double die obverse variety. This means that during the minting process, the die that strikes the coin was impressed more than once, slightly misaligned, creating the illusion of doubled letters and numbers on the coin. For the 1972 double die penny, you can see strong doubling in the word Liberty, in the date 1972 itself, and in the national motto, "In God We Trust." These striking features are immediately noticeable even to the naked eye, and they set this coin apart from billions of ordinary cents. While not every double die coin reaches astronomical values, the clarity and rarity of this particular year's errors have propelled it to legendary status. But what makes the story even more fascinating is that there were multiple double die varieties in 1972. Collectors often classify them into several categories, with the most prominent being the Class 1 double die that shows the most dramatic and clear doubling. Other varieties exist with subtler doubling, which are still considered valuable, though not as staggering as the main variety. This multiplicity of errors adds layers of intrigue because it raises questions about the production standards at the time, the sheer volume of mistakes that might have slipped into circulation, and the possibility that countless people unknowingly spent these valuable coins decades ago. Aside from double dies, the 1972 Lincoln penny also features other anomalies. Some coins were struck off-center, meaning the design does not fit properly within the coin's border. Depending on how dramatic the misalignment is, off-center strikes can range from modestly interesting to incredibly rare. Imagine holding a penny where half of Lincoln's profile is cut off or where the date is partially missing because of the strike. These coins, especially if combined with other errors like doubling, become highly sought after. Then there are clip planches, where the coin's metal blank was improperly cut, leaving a crescent-shaped clip on the finished coin. There are broad strike errors, where the coin was struck outside the restraining collar, causing it to spread wider than normal. And let's not forget about coins struck on the wrong planchet, instances where the die for a penny struck a blank meant for a dime, a foreign coin, or another denomination altogether. These hybrid mistakes often become instant rarities. For the 1972 penny, stories circulate of wrong planchet strikes, where the coin's copper alloy design was accidentally placed on different metallic compositions, making them even more fascinating and rare. Mint mark errors also add significant value. The Denver Mint, indicated by a small d below the date, and the Philadelphia Mint, which often lacked a mint mark in this era, sometimes produced anomalies. A repunched mint mark, known as an RPM, occurs when the mint mark was punched more than once into the die at slightly different angles. This creates a shadowy doubling effect on the mint mark itself, and in the 1972 series, such errors were indeed documented. Collectors obsess over these because they represent the human element of minting, an engraver's slight misstep frozen forever in metal. Beyond physical errors, the value of the 1972 penny has also been influenced by its cultural and historical context. The early 1970s were a time of great change in the United States. Economic uncertainty, the Vietnam War, and shifts in social dynamics made the decade unforgettable. The Lincoln cent, always a staple of American currency, represented stability amid change. When errors from 1972 began surfacing, collectors found in them not only monetary value but also a tangible connection to history. Owning a rare 1972 penny became a way of holding on to a unique fragment of that era. Now, how do we get from 1 cent to $570 million? That extraordinary valuation is the result of multiple factors converging. First is rarity. Only a tiny fraction of 1972 pennies exhibit the kind of dramatic doubling or errors that make them so valuable. Second is demand. Coin collectors and investors are always searching for the next great rarity, and the 1972 penny has gained fame as one of the most iconic error coins of the 20th century. Third is condition. While a worn, circulated 1972 double-die penny might fetch hundreds or thousands, one in pristine, uncirculated condition with a strong strike can multiply in value exponentially. Some examples have sold at auction for jaw-dropping sums, and in the world of collectibles, once a coin achieves legendary status, its value can skyrocket to almost mythical proportions. It's also important to note that markets often place symbolic value on certain coins. The 1972 penny has, over time, become a symbol of numismatic wonder, a coin that demonstrates how even the smallest denomination can shake the entire coin-collecting world. That symbolic value fuels demand and pushes prices higher. Collectors often dream of discovering one in their change jars, tucked away in an attic, or hidden in an inherited coin collection. Stories circulate of people finding rare 1972 pennies in the most ordinary places, adding to the allure. Each tale of discovery reinforces the idea that treasures can hide in plain sight, and that motivates even more people to search. Condition grading plays a vital role in determining value. Coins are carefully assessed under magnification to evaluate wear, luster, strike quality, and any surface marks. A 1972 penny in mint state, graded MS65 or higher, especially with full red coloration, becomes incredibly desirable. Red pennies, those that still retain their original coppery shine, are rarer than their brown or red-brown counterparts because copper naturally oxidizes and darkens over time. Thus, a full red 1972 double-die penny is not only a marvel of error but also a visual delight, making it nearly priceless. What's equally fascinating is how this coin has inspired educational pursuits and even detective-like investigations. Collectors often study mint records, compare varieties, and pore over magnified images to distinguish authentic double dies from mechanical doubling or machine doubling, which are less valuable. Learning to tell the difference requires skill, patience, and experience, which makes the hobby both intellectually stimulating and financially rewarding. The 1972 penny is often used as a teaching tool for new collectors to understand the difference between true double dies and common striking anomalies. When we speak about a coin being worth $570 million, some might wonder whether this is a theoretical value or something backed by actual transactions. In truth, while individual coins might not have crossed that exact threshold in auction records, the combined impact of condition, rarity, error significance, and symbolic status makes the 1972 Lincoln penny one of the most celebrated and expensive coins in history. Collectors and numismatic experts speculate about its ultimate worth, and in a market where unique collectibles like paintings and artifacts fetch hundreds of millions, it's not unthinkable for a rare penny to command similar attention. This extraordinary valuation also reflects how coin collecting has evolved. Once seen as a quiet hobby, numismatics has transformed into a high-stakes arena where investors, historians, and treasure seekers intersect. Coins like the 1972 double-die penny blur the lines between currency, art, and historical artifact. They represent mistakes turned into masterpieces, and they show how human error can create unintended treasures. Even outside of the auction houses and collector forums, the 1972 penny sparks imagination. People often share stories of their first discovery, of spotting the doubling on Liberty with a simple magnifying glass, of realizing that something extraordinary lay hidden in their pocket change. It encourages curiosity, patience, and exploration, values that resonate with everyone from amateur hobbyists to seasoned experts. The importance of the 1972 penny. Today, as we take a deep dive into one of the most fascinating and intriguing coins in American history, the 1975 1-cent Lincoln penny, a coin that on its surface may appear like any ordinary piece of change you could find in your pocket, yet in reality has stories and mysteries behind it that make it potentially worth an astonishing $540 million because of its unique errors, mistakes, and mint mark anomalies that set it apart from all the other coins minted in that year. When we think of the penny, we often imagine the most common coin in circulation, a small copper piece featuring the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a coin many people overlook and sometimes even discard. Yet within the world of numismatics, certain examples of these coins have proven to be treasures of unimaginable value, transforming what was once thought of as spare change into artifacts of immense historical and financial worth. The 1975 Lincoln cent is no exception, and in fact, it holds a very special place in the hearts of collectors because of its scarcity in certain variations, the errors that occurred during its production, and the astonishing possibilities tied to minting mistakes that elevate its status far beyond its humble face value of 1 cent. To truly understand why a 1975 penny could be valued at $540 million, we need to carefully explore its background, its mintage, the details of the minting process, and the specific errors and anomalies that make this coin so extraordinary. This isn't just about a piece of metal, but about the craftsmanship, the accidents, the decisions at the mint, and the circumstances that surrounded this particular year of production. First, it's important to recall that the Lincoln cent had already been in circulation since 1909, when it was first introduced to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. By the time 1975 came around, the Lincoln penny had gone through some changes, including the reverse design by Frank Gasparro in 1959, which replaced the wheat ears reverse with the Lincoln Memorial, a design that continued until 2008. In 1975, the coins were struck at 3 main mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each of these facilities played a role in producing millions upon millions of pennies for circulation and collector sets. The Philadelphia Mint produced circulation strikes without a mint mark, the Denver Mint produced coins with the D the mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint struck coins intended mainly for proof sets, marked with the S. On the surface, these may all look similar, but the trained eye of a collector and the keen examination of experts reveal small differences and sometimes monumental mistakes that dramatically alter the value of these coins. Now, when we talk about errors and anomalies, it's crucial to understand that minting a coin is a complex process. From the creation of the dies to the striking of the planchets, there are countless opportunities for something unusual to occur. When it does, these mistakes can range from minor imperfections to spectacular blunders that create one-of-a-kind coins. Collectors often pay incredible sums for such rarities, not just because of their uniqueness but also because they serve as tangible reminders of the human element in coin production, the fact that even in a highly controlled process, things can go awry in unexpected ways. In the case of the 1975 penny, some of the most notable varieties involve double dies, repunched mint marks, off-center strikes, and transitional errors. A double die error occurs when the die itself, which impresses the design onto the blank planchette, is created with a doubling of the design. When this happens, details like the date, the motto "In God We Trust," or the word "Liberty" may appear with a shadowed or doubled appearance, something highly prized in the numismatic world. Such errors have been recorded in other years with spectacular results, such as the famous 1955 double die penny, which became one of the most valuable coins in circulation. For 1975, while not as widely recognized as the 1955 example, reports of double die obverses and reverses make this year a potential treasure trove for those lucky enough to stumble upon one. Another type of error that collectors cherish is the repunched mint mark. In 1975, mint marks were still applied to the dies by hand, and this human involvement opened the door to mistakes. A repunched mint mark occurs when the mint mark punch strikes slightly off-center and is corrected with another strike, leaving behind traces of 2 or more impressions of the same letter. For example, a Denver minted penny with a D over D anomaly or an S mint mark with visible doubling could turn a seemingly ordinary coin into a rare collectible. Then there are off-center strikes, which happen when the blank planchette is not properly aligned with the dies during striking. Depending on the degree of misalignment, the coin could show part of the design missing or shifted to one side, sometimes leaving blank areas on the coin. These errors are highly visual and immediately noticeable, making them popular among collectors. The more dramatic the off-center strike, especially if the date remains visible, the higher the value. A 1975 penny with a 50% off-center strike, for instance, could be valued at thousands of dollars, but the most intriguing errors involve transitional and composition mistakes. By 1975, the Lincoln cent was still being struck in a bronze composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, but changes were on the horizon. Just a few years later, in 1982, the mint would shift to a predominantly zinc composition with a thin copper plating due to the rising cost of copper. Transitional errors occur when planchets intended for one year or composition are mistakenly used in another. If a 1975 penny were somehow struck on a transitional planchet, such as an experimental composition, it could become one of the rarest coins in existence. What makes the 1975 Lincoln cent truly fascinating is not just the existence of these errors but the possibilities of undiscovered varieties that may yet be hiding in plain sight. Coins are constantly being rediscovered in old collections, rolls, or even in circulation, and each new find can rewrite the story of a year's mintage. It is this possibility that fuels the idea of a 1975 penny being worth as much as $540 million, a number that captures not only the actual recorded sales of rare pennies but also the speculative value placed on unique, one-of-a-kind examples that combine rarity, error, and historical significance. Imagine for a moment stumbling upon a penny in your change that appears slightly unusual. At first glance, it may seem like nothing special, but upon closer inspection, you notice the date looks doubled, the mint mark appears strange, or perhaps the strike is off-center. In that moment, what you thought was worth 1 cent could transform into a coin capable of commanding millions at auction. This is the allure of coin collecting and the reason why stories like the 1975 penny's potential are so captivating. The world of numismatics is filled with tales of everyday people who unknowingly held onto coins that later turned out to be worth fortunes. Some found rare varieties in jars of old change, others discovered error coins while sorting through rolls from the bank. The 1975 penny has all the ingredients to be one of these legendary finds, with its potential errors, its historical context, and its allure to both seasoned collectors and new hobbyists alike. If we consider the market dynamics behind rare coins, we see that value is often determined by 3 key factors: rarity, demand, and condition. The rarity comes from how few of a particular variety exist, demand is driven by the desire of collectors to own such pieces, and condition refers to the grade of the coin, whether it is worn from circulation or preserved in pristine mint state. For a 1975 penny to reach values as high as $540 million, it would need to be an unprecedented rarity, a coin so unique that no other example exists, combined with a condition that leaves it essentially flawless, a numismatic miracle. The role of condition cannot be overstated. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to mint state, with the highest grades reserved for coins that show no signs of wear and retain their original luster. A 1975 penny in average circulated condition may be worth only a few cents above face value, but the same coin in mint state, especially with a significant error or variety, could be worth thousands, even millions. Collectors and investors alike place immense value on coins at the top end of this scale, and when combined with rarity, the results can be astronomical. The story of the 1975 penny is also tied to the broader narrative of American history during that time. The mid-1970s were a period of transition for the nation, with the aftermath of the Vietnam War, the resignation of President Richard Nixon, and the celebrations of the upcoming bicentennial in 1976. Coins produced during this era carry with them the echoes of these historical moments, making them not just monetary instruments but artifacts of a society in flux. To own a 1975 penny with unique errors is to hold a piece of that history in your hands, a tangible reminder of the craftsmanship, the mistakes, and the circumstances that shaped the coinage of the United States. As we dive deeper into the potential of a coin like this reaching values of $540 million, we must also recognize the role of speculation and the passion of collectors. The rare coin market has seen incredible valuations over the years, with some coins selling for record-breaking sums that far exceed their